Hi guys, we'll be covering lesson 1.7 today, and we're focusing on measurement. So basically, we're going to have we're looking at different systems. So we have like the US is considered either the customary or standard is what we use, and then other countries use the metric system. So this first little bit, we're looking at the customary system for length or distance. And in class, I had the students Google what countries use this, and so if you want to do that to get you started off, it is used in the United States. So this is talking like inches, feet, all that. If you want to pause and Google them and see, then you can. If not, the other two countries are Liberia and Myanmar. So 3 countries out of the entire world are all that uses this, and so it's very odd, and it's because it's more difficult than the metric system, and I kind of wish we used metric. So it's interesting to see the difference there. So we'll look at this today, and this is something you should be probably using frequently throughout life. So hopefully this will be something helpful and applicable for you. So first part we're going to look at is inches. So again, talking about measuring the length or the distance of something. So inches, the abbreviation is IN. Okay, and I'm going to do this about the size of. So that kind of hopefully will help you relate its size to something, that you are familiar with. So for inches, I said it's about the length of a paper clip. And that's like a regular size paper clip, not like the jumbos, and I'm just going to draw a little picture of a paper clip. All right, feet, abbreviated FT. And this one's pretty straightforward. Main thing we know of is a ruler. Okay, so that's pretty common. I feel like everyone knows the length of a ruler because we're so familiarized with them in elementary. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 inches. So for our conversion down here, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. All right, yards is abbreviated YD or YDS. All right, and for this, it's about the width of a door. So door width, because a yard is 3 feet. So I can also say, I should add this, is 36 inches. Okay, so that's about how wide a door will be in most circumstances. So remember that you're looking at the width of the door. So like here, all the way across, not the height. All right, miles is abbreviated MI. It's kind of hard to do a relatable description of this, so I just looked it up, and from the school to McDonald's is a mile. So just think if you're driving on the road and you're going from there to McDonald's, then you've went about a mile. And this is where it gets complicated to remember versus the metric system. So a mile is 5,280 feet. And if I wanted that in yards, well, I could divide my feet by 3, since there's 3 feet in a yard, which would give me 1,760 yards. Okay, now the rest of the world that uses metric, so we'll look at these. First one is millimeters. So millimeter is super small. You used it in elementary some, but then you maybe not haven't a whole lot since then. It is the thickness of an ID or a credit card or debit or whatever. So I relate it to the kids like they have, your lunch cards that you have for school. So it's gonna be about that thickness. So picture here. Okay, centimeters is abbreviated cm, and it's about the width of your pinky. So how wide your pinky finger is. Let's see if I can draw a hand, I'm not sure. So, width of the pinky. And 1 centimeter, maybe you remember from elementary, is 10 millimeters. Okay, m for meter is abbreviated with just an m. So meters is kind of like your base measurement for the metric system in terms of length at least. So I know, okay, well then centimeters and meters are smaller than that, and kilometers is bigger. So they kind of work from that meters as being kind of the standard, okay? And this would be about the height of a kitchen counter. Okay, so if I have my counter, it's about how tall it is, right? 1 meter, and here's where it gets much easier to remember than custom or standard, is 100 centimeters. Okay, and it is going to be 1,000 millimeters. So I think that it takes a lot more millimeters to make a meter, to make that up that distance. Okay, kilometers, abbreviated km. This is, again, a really long distance comparable to miles, and it's going to be about 6 city blocks. So hopefully you know what I mean by that. Like if you go in the city, like one street to the next, so it's usually set up like a grid. So maybe this is Monroe Street and this is Elm. Okay, from here to here is a block, so it would be 6 of those. And 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So if we, as we work from millimeters up to kilometers here, they just gradually get to be larger distances. All right, now if we want to convert, so convert each of the following to the stated units. We do have quick calculators for this on Google now, but if you needed to do it kind of in your head, the easiest way I think you can do a proportion, I like to think of it usually as kind of multiply or divide. So if you are converting centimeters to meters, well, I know it takes more, like centimeters is much smaller, so I'm going to have more centimeters to make up my meter, okay? And centimeters to meter here, okay? So I want to essentially, I'm going from, if you look here, there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So I want to basically just move this decimal 2 spaces. So 15 centimeters, so you think if there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter, this is like 15 out of 100. So I put 15 in my hundredths place. All right, number 2, kilometers to meters. So we have 7 kilometers and there's 1,000 meters per kilometer. So I just take that times 1,000, or you can think we were decimal 1, 2, 3 and put zeros for placeholders. 7,000 meters. Okay, inches to feet. So if we look up here, we have, all right, 1 foot is 12 inches. So I know there are less feet in our inch, so I want to take 540 and divide by 12. So 45 feet. Okay, and lastly here, 2 miles equals how many feet? Well, I know 2 miles, there's going to be more feet than miles, because that's our bigger one. So I'm going to take 2 times 5,280. And that is 10,560. Okay, second we're going to look here at weight or mass. So, because we use different types of units for different types of measurements, okay? I don't use ounces to measure how long something is, etc. So first, again, we'll look at what the U.S., Myanmar, and Liberia use, so our customary system. So ounces, we're going to abbreviate, OZ. And this is about the weight of a strawberry. So I'm just going to draw a little strawberry here. So think how, that's pretty light, a strawberry. It's not very heavy. Being picky with my colors here, I just like to have fun with this part. All right. Oh, forgot to write strawberry. Okay, no conversions on that one, so let's look at pounds. And there's no conversions because it is the smallest option here. So pounds is actually abbreviated LB, which is a little odd, but and a pound equals 16 ounces. And it's about the weight of a pineapple. So if you get pineapples ever from the store, they're one of my favorites. So pineapple. Okay. Now, last one is our tons. So tons is the big one, okay? It doesn't really have like much of an abbreviation, but you maybe would see T. It's just not very common, mostly because it's short, so usually people just write tons, okay? And it is going to be about the weight of a small car, so think like a little, just if they see the little compact car, like a two-door or something like that, and it equals 2,000 pounds. You can see if you can draw you a car here. Do this color car. Feel free to skip through this part. I just kind of like to have fun with this. Like I said, you can probably draw a better car. All right, so 2,000 pounds, so that's going to be a really big step there, okay? All right, so second grouping here is we have the metric systems, uses for weight or names for weight. So I can look first at milligrams. So it's going to be abbreviated mg. This is so super tiny in terms of weight. It is like 1 grain of salt, not like a salt shaker, like a single grain. So tiny, okay? So think there's not a lot of things you're gonna use that measurement on since it's so small. Okay, grams, G. This is about the weight of a dollar bill. So in class I was actually talking about how in other countries they use different sizes of bills, whereas ours are all the same, but they use different sizes for like bigger amounts. So like the 100 would be the biggest, and then we would work our way down like 50, 20. That way people, if they're blind, then they can tell easily like which bill they need to get out to pay, which I thought was interesting that we don't do that. Okay, and a gram is going to be 1,000 milligrams, so back to that kind of basis of 1,000 and keeping things nice and simple. All right, lastly, kilograms. So kilograms is going to be measuring a little bigger. It's about the weight of 6 apples. You can also think of it as it's about 2.2 pounds, okay, if you know what that would relate to. I'm just going to draw 1 apple. Okay, and then lastly here, a kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. So Takes a lot of grams, a lot of dollar bills to get there. All right, so let's do our conversions here at the bottom. So 9 kilograms is going to equal how many grams? Well, I know 1,000 grams makes up a kilogram. So I want to take this and times it by 1,000, which is essentially, so when I say move the decimal, so if my number is 9, well, I want to think if I go to the store and they say my total is $9, technically that decimal is at the back here, and there's just zeros following forever, okay? But they don't put it there if it's just a whole number and you don't have any change, right? So if my decimal is here and I want to times by 1,000, I can move to the right 1, 2, 3 times and fill in zeros as my placeholders. Now my decimal's at the back to make that 9,000 grams. Okay, 2.5 pounds to ounces. Well, up here we saw that there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So I want to take 2.5 times 16. Okay, which would be 40 ounces. Okay, 8 ounces to a pound. Well, that's a little different because ounces is the smaller one, so I'm going to have less pounds in that. So I really want to think, okay, like if there's 16 ounces in a pound, I'm going to divide 8 by 16 because I know it's like 8 over 16. It's kind of like a fraction. So 8 over 16 simplifies to 0.5 or 1/2 of a pound. Okay, 3 grams equals how many milligrams? Okay, so again, gram is the bigger one of the two, so I want to times by 1,000 or move my decimal 3 spots, and that would give me 3,000 milligrams. Okay, lastly, we are looking at capacity. So this is typically looking at, okay, like liquids or baking items like flour and sugar, things that are easily poured into another space, okay? Like a car, if I'm going to weigh it, I can't just put a car into a cup and measure its capacity. That's not how that works, right? So we're going to look first at our United States customary system that we use. So a fluid ounce. So a fluid ounce is abbreviated FL. Sometimes we'll put the OZ on there, but not always. Okay, this is about 2 tablespoons. So if you know like the measuring tablespoons that you have for cooking. All right, a cup is abbreviated with a C, and it's about a milk carton's worth of liquid or material inside, okay? Like the ones you would get from school. Okay, and a cup is equal to 8 ounces. Now a pint is just 2 cups. So a pint is 2 cups, or that would be 16 ounces. So think like measuring cups that you cook with, or 2 of your milks. All right, quart is abbreviated QT. I'm trying to think here. So I know that I always make lemonade at home and it's 2 quarts, so it would be half of that, all right? But it's also 4 cups. So these don't have like a common like quart. You can get some liquids in a quart, okay, like maybe juice and things sometimes. All right, here's our real common one, is a gallon. So everyone kind of knows a gallon is what we buy milk in, correct? So I think a gallon of milk, is usually in your jug. Let's see if I can draw this. And a gallon is equal to 4, a gallon is equal to 4 quarts, all right? Well, if I know that there's 4 quarts and there's 4 cups in each quart. Well, 4 times 4 would give us 16 cups in a gallon. Okay, and lastly here, the metric system for measuring capacity of things. So first one here is milliliters. Liters already represent a capital L for some reason, so do that. So milliliters is very small. It's going to be 10 drops from an eyedropper, or like if you know, like a little medicine dropper. It's kind of what you want to think. If I can draw this, we'll see. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that was 10. And a liter, so again, in other countries, this is commonly used. You can buy a lot of liquids in just a liter. We don't really have that much. So something that you can relate to is half of, I want to say, a party soda. Okay, so not just a large soda, like you can get a large individual soda. I think if you go to, they're going to have like a class party or something, if you remember doing that, you could get those, you can get those big sodas, right? Like the tall ones that are a 2 liter. So if it's just 1 liter, it's just half of that. Okay, let me make this a Sprite. Okay, so half of it will be there. Okay. And again, let's look at our conversions here. So milliliters in a liter, again, back to this 1000s unit. So 1 liter is 1000 milliliters, okay? And lastly, looking at kiloliters. So KL, and this one is really big, okay? So the best way I could see to do it is about 4 bathtubs worth of water. All right, so kind of, I think you want to think of this would be talking like, okay, you're going to measure something very large, a large amount of water of this. So maybe a pool or a water tower or something like a pond, a fountain. Someone said in class a fountain. So you want to think something really big like that has a lot of water. And a kiloliter is, again, 1000 liters. All right, so we have here at the bottom, 8 gallons is how many cups? Well, looking up here, 1 gallon is 16 cups. So I want to times this by 16, okay? 18 times, or 8 times 16 has 128 cups. All right, 2, if we have 6 quarts, how many cups is that? So we have 6 quarts, there's 4 cups in a quart. 6 times 4 is 24. 3, we have 4,000 milliliters. How many liters would that be? Okay, well, I want to actually divide this one because I know there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So if I divide 4,000 by 1,000, I get 4 liters. And then lastly, 2.5 cups is going to be how many fluid ounces. So I take, if I look up here, my cup is 8 ounces, okay? So I'm going to take this times 8, which would be 20 fluid ounces. Okay, and now last one here, and I want you to kind of maybe star this or something because there's going to be a very similar one in your unit test, okay, when we get to that, which will be next week. So it says Stuco held a blood drive. Their goal was to collect 5 gallons of blood from the drive. The donors gave 52 pints of blood. So you got pints and you have gallons. Did Stuco meet their goal? How much more or less than their goal did they collect? And here you get this information on the test, so that's helpful. So first thing I want to do, we're using 2 different units. We're using gallons and pints. So I need to make those to where they're the same so it makes more sense to me, okay? So I can kind of easily answer that question. I'm just going to make this A, did they meet their goal? B, by how much, okay? So first thing is convert. So if I have 5 gallons, I want to know how many pints. Well, let's look back up here. Says, oh, no, sorry, they give it to you. Ignore that. So 1 quart is 2 pints, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So there's a couple ways you can think of this. I'm going to figure out just how many pints is in a gallon, okay? So 1 quart is 2 pints, and 4 quarts is 1 gallon. All right, well then I know I want to take this 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts in a gallon. Okay, well over here, every quart is 2 pints. So that's pint, 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 and 2 more pints. Okay, well that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pints is 1 gallon. Okay, so if they had 52 pints, and I want that in gallons, okay, well I would probably initially just think to divide it by 8. But if you don't think that, so I can do that. Divide by 8. Okay, so that gives me, let's see, 52 divided by 8 is 6.5. I could do it that way. If you've done proportions in the past, I could say 1 gallon equals 8 pints, so over it, getting that from here. So now I have 52 pints, so I'm going to put the 52 pints beside the pint, okay, right next to it. And I don't know that in gallons. So I can cross multiply this. Well, 1 times 52 is 52. 8 times 8 is 8x. And then I end up dividing. Okay, so 6.5, and that is in gallons, okay? 52 pints is 6.5 gallons. So question A, did they meet their goal? Well, their goal was 5, and they got 6.5. So, yes. B, how much more or less than their goal did they collect? Well, if they wanted 5, they got 6.5. I'm going to do 6.5 minus 5. So they have 1.5 more gallons. Okay? All right, that is all for today. We do only have 1 more lesson until the test. So please make sure you're keeping up with homeworks. Those are all due no later than test day. They will not be accepted afterwards. So just want to give you a heads up there. And make sure you set aside, check your Canvas calendar for your test date. It will need to be completed that day in order to get credit, okay? There was a little bit of a mess up on the quiz this last time, but it should all be one day next time. I think we have all the issues worked out. All right, please message me if you have any questions. If you need to set up a Google Meet time this week, I posted some options for that on Canvas, okay? Have a great day.